Right, I'm going to test your power of veto now, because I know this is... I'm in the minority on this one. My first choice is Brodus Clay. And the reason I'm picking Brodus Clay is because I think Brodus Clay's debut was the greatest joke that WWE have ever intentionally told. I loved it, and I loved the way John Laurinaitis played the straight guy to it, and he built it up over weeks and weeks. You know, unlike WWE, they didn't throw away the punchline straight away. I think they built it up over about 2 months. And when Somebody Called My Mama hit, and Brodus Clay, this monster, came out dancing with the Funkadactyls and ripped his trousers off, and he had the over-the-top fireworks. I can't remember a time I barely laughed more at wrestling than that moment.
Well, Paul, somebody better call your mama, because I am not having Brodus Clay on any Mount Rushmore. So that is definitely getting a veto. And I'm going to replace it with Kurt Angle and Stone Cold Steve Austin having a sing-off backstage on Raw for Vince McMahon, and Stone Cold sang Jimmy Crack Corn whilst playing the guitar, and Kurt Angle sang Kumbaya. How in the middle of the Attitude Era was Jimmy Crack Corn and Kumbaya allowed on WWF programming? So I'm sticking that on in place of stupid Brodus Clay, stupid Funkadactyls. The only good thing that come out of them Funkadactyls was Naomi. That's it.
Wow. How can you call it stupid?
It was a 400-pound bloke in the tartest Adidas tracksuit known to man, dancing around like an idiot.
But here's my question to you. I'm going to dispute you on this.
Mags, cut the man some slack. Hang high.
The foot has gone down.
I see that.
Why shouldn't a monster... Like, a monster always goes out and he's always the same kind of guy, like emotionless, savage. Why can't a monster kind of go out there and just be seen to be having fun with destroying people? I thought it was different. I thought it was quirky.
It was different.
I accept
quirky.
The veto.
It was stupid. A monster can sing and dance in the privacy of his own monster room. Do not be bringing that to my television. Veto.
Let that Funkasaurus dance. Let the Funkasaurus dance.
I have no problem with him dancing in front of his bathroom mirror on his own. He can dance all he wants. That's a veto from me.
Well, I begrudgingly accept your veto now that I have a choice. But for me, it was one of the best timed jokes of all time.
Always use your head.
Del.
I'm sure they will be very soon, though. I can see Pete Dunne being a world champion soon.
A world champion?
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, definitely. He's Triple H's boy, definitely.
Are you going to veto that one, Paul?
I do veto that as an opinion, but unfortunately I can't veto opinions. But I don't see it. I think he's fantastic. I think he's brilliant, but I don't think he's main roster style.
Always use your...
I've gone for two controversial characters this week, so I'll go with my first one. And amazingly, I don't know how many episodes we're in now, but this is his first mention whatsoever. It's Mr. Vince McMahon. I think Vince as a commentator was... I think he was perfect. He knew exactly how to put the wrestlers over, because obviously he was booking the show. He knew what he wanted to say, and I think he did a great job of making characters. I think particularly with the Undertaker in the early days, I think Vince did a lot to get that gimmick over, and I think he's maybe a bit underappreciated in the formation of the Undertaker. Yeah, and I just like my commentators not to make themselves part of the show, which is kind of ironic given this is Vince McMahon we're talking about. But Vince McMahon as a commentator didn't try to make the show about himself.
Fair enough. To go against that, though, I mean, whilst Vince McMahon probably will end up on some Mount Rushmores, I don't think he was best known for his commentating, especially with the fact that he used to say "what a manoeuvre" quite a lot. He didn't even know the wrestling move. So I'm going to use my power of veto on that one, and I'm going to veto Vince McMahon going on the commentator Mount Rushmore. Now,
wow.
I'm going to replace him with somebody who started as a wrestler / manager for RWF, ECWA, and then got on to Major League Wrestling. He actually got his shot in the WWF due to his friendship with one badass Billy Gunn. He performed quite a few on-air roles in WWE, usually ring announcing, interviewing, where he was heavily involved in one of the biggest storylines of the time, the Pillman's Got a Gun storyline. And he was also nicknamed Hermie by The Rock. And he was forced to do an interview with his finger up his nose. I'm going to pick Kevin Kelly. I think that Kevin Kelly has been instrumental in bringing the Western audience into New Japan wrestling, especially from my point of view. I think without Kevin Kelly, New Japan probably wouldn't be as popular now in the West as it is. He obviously heads up the English commentary on New Japan, but he's also working a lot on the social media side and the YouTube side. So, yeah, I'm going to bump Vince McMahon and I'm going to replace him with Hermie himself, Kevin Kelly.
Oh,
incredible.
Right. Is this going to be instant retaliation?
Always use your head.
So now, make or break. I've actually got two choices left on mine. Now, shall I go with one that Paul may veto, or shall I stick with the one that I can't see him vetoing? Because I don't think you've ever vetoed yet, have you, Paul?
I'm still waiting to use my first one.
Oh.
Take the risk.
Kevin Kelly
the
was the
risk.
closest I've come.
Take the risk.
I'm actually going to take the risk. The one I'm going to go for started with the North American Wrestling Alliance in 1992 before he headed up the original Extreme Championship Wrestling all the way through the run of the promotion. At the inaugural barely legal pay-per-view, this guy became the first and only commentator to call a live pay-per-view solo. And then when ECW was purchased by WWF, he took a little bit of a sabbatical after doing a couple of shots for XPW, but then again he came back to Major League Wrestling, and he actually ended up helping them secure some big TV deals at the time. But then in 2005 he signed with WWE, headlined the ECW One Night Stand, and then eventually became play-by-play on Raw, and also the WWECW brand. He also ran, I believe, the digital media content arm of WWE. He ended up leaving WWE in 2016 and did little short stints in Chikara and Evolve, and I think he's actually retired from the wrestling business now. But the pick I'm going for is Joey Styles.
Man.
It's a good pick.
Go on, Paul. Go on.
I'm going to veto it. I'm going to use my veto. I'm still pissed off about Vince McMahon.
Man.
So I have one back in the eye.
Who are you replacing him with, though?
I'll replace it with Jim Ross. That's the reason I'm vetoing.
Yeah.
Is we can't in all good consciousness construct a Mount Rushmore of greatest ever commentators and not have Jim Ross up there.
Definitely.
He's the voice of an entire era of wrestling that I think almost everyone holds dear in their hearts. So many of the massive WWE moments that we all remember are punctuated with JR's commentary. They go hand in hand. For me, still WWE goes hand in hand with JR's commentary, and I need him up there.
Yeah, I played you like an absolute fiddle there, Paul, because Jim Ross was my number one draft pick, and I've got him. Yeah, what can you say about him? He's literally is the voice of wrestling for 20 plus years. And to think of the stuff that he's actually gone through and to still be able to be that person. I mean, obviously, he's suffered from Bell's palsy, I think, about 3 or 4 times, been absolutely bullied by Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara. Then again, with Vince McMahon wasn't exactly the nicest person to him. But, wow, the guy's a podcasting legend. He's wrote best-selling books. He did his stint, obviously, in New Japan, which obviously didn't go down that well, but it just shows his relevance that he's still got that gig. And now, obviously, he's going to be the lead commentator for this little upstart T-shirt company called AEW. So the future's looking bright for Mr. Ross. Yeah, absolutely had to be on the Mount Rushmore of commentators. And, yeah, I played you like a fiddle, Paul, and I'm proud of myself for that. I'm absolutely proud of myself.
Oh, well played. More visions for my veto next week.
Always use your head.
So now, make or break. I've actually got 2 choices left on mine. Now, shall I go with one that Paul may veto, or shall I stick with the one that I can't see him vetoing? Because I don't think you've ever vetoed yet, have you, Paul?
I'm still waiting to use my first one.
Oh.
Take the risk.
Kevin
Take
Kelly
the
was the
risk.
closest I've come.
Take the risk.
I'm actually going to take the risk. The one I'm going to go for started with the North American Wrestling Alliance in 1992 before he headed up the original Extreme Championship Wrestling all the way through the run of the promotion. At the inaugural barely legal pay-per-view, this guy became the first and only commentator to call a live pay-per-view solo. And then when ECW was purchased by WWF, he took a little bit of a sabbatical after doing a couple of shots for XPW, but then again he came back to Major League Wrestling, and he actually ended up helping them secure some big TV deals at the time. But then in 2005 he signed with WWE, headlined the ECW One Night Stand, and then eventually became play-by-play on Raw, and also the WWECW brand. He also ran, I believe, the digital media content arm of WWE. He ended up leaving WWE in 2016 and did little short stints in Chikara and Evolve, and I think he's actually retired from the wrestling business now. But the pick I'm going for is Joey Styles.
Man.
It's a good pick.
Go on, Paul. Go on.
I'm going to veto it. I'm going to use my veto. I'm still pissed off about Vince McMahon.
Man.
So I have one back in the eye.
Who are you replacing him with, though?
I'll replace it with Jim Ross. That's the reason I'm vetoing.
Yeah.
Is we can't in all good consciousness construct a Mount Rushmore of greatest ever commentators and not have Jim Ross up there.
Definitely.
He's the voice of an entire era of wrestling that I think almost everyone holds dear in their hearts. So many of the massive WWE moments that we all remember are punctuated with JR's commentary. They go hand in hand. For me, still WWE goes hand in hand with JR's commentary, and I need him up there.
Yeah, I've played you like an absolute fiddle there, Paul, because Jim Ross was my number one draft pick, and I've got him. Yeah, what can you say about him? He's literally the voice of wrestling for 20 plus years. And to think of the stuff that he's actually gone through and to still be able to be that person. I mean, obviously, he's suffered from Bell's palsy, I think, about 3 or 4 times, been absolutely bullied by Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara. Then again, with Vince McMahon wasn't exactly the nicest person to him. But, wow, the guy's a podcasting legend. He's wrote best-selling books. He did his stint, obviously, in New Japan, which obviously didn't go down that well, but it just shows his relevance that he's still got that gig. And now, obviously, he's going to be the lead commentator for this little upstart T-shirt company called AEW. So the future's looking bright for Mr. Ross. Yeah, absolutely had to be on the Mount Rushmore commentators. And, yeah, I played you like a fiddle, Paul, and I'm proud of myself for that. I'm absolutely proud of myself.
Oh, well played. More visions for my veto next week.
Now I've got 2 left, but I'm going to go for the one that isn't as pronounced as the other one. I'm going to go with the Hardy Boys. Now, they have been tag team champions in Ring of Honor, obviously in TNA, and absolute legends in WWF. But when they broke up, everybody thought that Jeff was going to be the big star, and he did. He ended up being that. He was the most popular wrestler for the PWI 2 years in a row. He was TNA World Champion 3 times, won the TNA World Cup twice. He's been WWE Champion. He's been European Champion, US Champion, Hardcore Champion, Intercontinental Champion, Light Heavyweight Champion. He's a Triple Crown and a Grand Slam winner. The guy has done it all in the WWE. Now, the reason why I picked Jeff over Matt, even though Matt has also won a lot of awards. He's obviously been TNA champion, ECW champion in the short WWE ECW run, Cruiserweight US. Matt's kind of like floated around the mid-card where Jeff was obviously propelled to that world title scene, and obviously had his make and break match where he faced The Undertaker and took a hell of a whooping and still stood up, and Undertaker raising his hand and saying that this guy was a man. Yeah, Jeff Hardy is the hugest breakout star in that tag team, and yeah, for me, has to go on this list. Paul, what say you, good sir? What say you?
I'm afraid, Magsy, he's not going on.
Oh, Paul, that's awful. How dare you?
I've got a few reasons.
Goodness.
I had a feeling you were going to go Jeff Hardy, and I got a few reasons why I'd like to veto Jeff Hardy. Number one is I just can't separate them. To me, if you say Matt or Jeff Hardy, I always think of the other one. So in that respect, they're not true breakout stars. They're back together now, which kind of, they've gone full circle. I think they're going to end their careers together. So again, does that really fit the definition of breakout? And also, I think separately, although they were high points, I think both of them danced with kind of personal tragedy so much that when I think of their solo careers, I can't help but think of the bad times.
Paul, you're breaking my heart. You are breaking my heart, Paul.
I'm going to veto Jeff Hardy, and I'm going to replace with what was going to be my second choice, and like I said, he's already been waxed lyrical about. It's Booker T. I went for another 2-time Hall of Famer. Like Queen said it all, but you know, he was the first African American WWE champion. He was the last ever WCW champion. Kind of, when I read through his career, I was shocked at some of the things he has achieved that I didn't even realize. A Triple Crown winner in both companies. Mm-hmm. And I think he's just a true role model in that he had a terrible start in life and it could have all gone the wrong way. But he turned it around, became one of the biggest stars in the world. And like you say, going into politics now is fantastic. He's brilliant in the ring. He got the Spinneroonie over, which how did you do that? and he's genuinely brilliant at comedy as well. I always say I don't think there's many real comedians in the WWF or WWE, but he is one of them. I think specifically his King of the Ring run, his tag team with Goldust, which was Goldust.
Amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Oh, one of my personal favourite skits of all time. I still watch it every now and again. The Supermarket Brawl with
I love that
Austin.
One. I love that. Yeah,
it is perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and also Just reading, Kurt Angle called him legitimately a top 5 guy ever. That's from Kurt Angle. JBL said he was the best acquisition, the best WCW acquisition WWE made. And I think he was really, I say one of a handful. I don't even think it was a handful. One of the only guys to make that invasion stick for him. Mm-hmm. Everyone else got lost, but Booker T just got better and better. Yeah. So I agree with Queen. You've got to have Booker T on there.
As much as it pains me to say, that is an absolutely fine veto with me. Yeah, Booker T does definitely deserve to go on our list, Paul.
Always use your head.
What is your final choice on our Mount Rushmore?
God, I blew my long speech with Booker T. My final choice, right. Thing is, it's a really obvious one, isn't it? Like you said, he was the inspiration for the question, but do I purposefully go for something different? We can't do this question without Shawn Michaels, can we?
Well, is that your choice? You're making that choice.
I can't not pick Shawn Michaels. I want to not pick Shawn Michaels because I want to talk about someone different, but you can't not pick Shawn Michaels for this question. He is the tag team breakout star. Like Queen said, there's not a more iconic tag team breakup moment than Shawn Michaels, and the guy had at least 3 careers. The tag team career, he had HBK Mark 1, then he was injured, then he had Shawn Michaels Mark 2, and arguably the third one, the best of the lot, when everyone thought he was done and gone. I mean, he's Shawn Michaels.
Good enough reason there. I don't think you need to say anything else, do you?
As simple as that. Paul, I did say I felt vetoer, and I don't share the love of Shawn Michaels as much as you. You know this.
That's a shocker.
So I am going to veto.
What is happening on this show? What is happening?
The show's falling apart. That's what's happening.
This may be the 10th and last episode, but
Oh my God.
I am going for arguably the best tag team to ever enter the ring. They are multiple RWGP champions, multiple WWE champions, TNA champions, NWA champions, ECW champions. I'm going for the Dudley Boys, and my choice for breakout star, Bully Ray Dudley. Now, when the Dudleys broke up, we had brother Devon, obviously, with Deacon Batista, but Devon only really won titles in TNA, and again, they were kind of mid-card titles, where Bully Ray went on to be a 10-time hardcore champion, TNA world champion, and then champions in Ring of Honor with the Briscoes. The guy outshone Devon, and my choice to replace Shawn Michaels is Bully Ray Dudley.
I can't do a thing about it.
Absolutely cannot.
But you know what? I wouldn't anyway, because he was on my short list. I think to break away from the Bubba Ray character, which was quite iconic in itself, to create Spell, he was phenomenal. I know he got lost a bit in the end with the Aces and Eights thing, but he was just a level above anyone else in terms of just how he carried himself and in promos. And now in Ring of Honor, they call him the locker room leader, don't they? Mm-hmm. You don't get there by accident.
Always use your head.
Mr. Toller, your first pick on our Mount Rushmore.
It is. But before we do that, Magsy Moo, while you sit there, hopefully as uncomfortably as you possibly can be, I want you to listen to me. I want you to digest this, because before I give you my next pick, I have a lot of things that I want to get off my chest. I don't hate you, Mags. I don't even dislike you. I like you a hell of a lot more than most of the people on Brainbuster. I hate this idea that you're the best, because you're not. I'm the best in the world. Okay, I'm not the best in the world. But between 2011 and 2013, this man was CM Punk. And when he uttered the words to that effect, the effect it had on me was it brought me back to watching WWE. So it's massively important for me. I think he kick-started a revolution within WWE. He kicked down the door for the smaller guy to be noticed and to win championships, for the indie guy, more importantly, to be noticed and win championships. And kind of 3 weeks after he cut that amazing promo, he won the WWE Championship in WWE main roster's only 5-star match of the decade. Mm-hmm. At Money in the Bank against John Cena. Then he had the amazing storyline where he went AWOL with the title and he was winding up Vince and Triple H and Cena, and it just felt different. It felt chaotic. It felt fresh. At that point, he really was the best in the world. And then that's not the title reign I'm picking. The title reign I'm picking is the one that lasted 434 days, which is just unbelievable in modern day WWE. They tend to move that title around a lot. But 434 days, CM Punk was the world champion, and it was only ended by The Rock. I just think that promo will live on forever. I think that reign will live on forever, as you can see from the fans still chanting his name. Even though he's turning out to be quite an unpopular guy these days, they still chant his name every week. So for me, it's CM Punk.
I don't know, Paul. I don't know. CM Punk.
CM Punk. How is he not one of the best champions of the last decade?
Well, Vince McMahon, the owner of the WWE, has done his level best to bury the memory of CM Punk, even giving the guy his leaving papers on his own wedding day. So I'm going to bury CM Punk on Badlands, and I'm going to veto CM Punk going on the Mount Rushmore.
No. I'd written out his promo. Next week, I'm going to do all 6 minutes of it.
He never got his ice cream bars, and for me, if you don't get ice cream bars, you don't deserve to be on a Mount Rushmore. So I'm replacing him with the person who he attacked before doing that promo. I'm replacing him with the one and only John Cena.
CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk.
John Cena definitely should go on this Mount Rushmore above CM Punk. Cena debuted in 2002, answering Kurt Angle's open challenge and coined the phrase ruthless aggression. He's won the PWR Match of the Year 5 times. He's the 5-time PWR most popular wrestler. He's the 3-time number 1 on the PWR 500 list. 2-time PWR Wrestler of the Year, 10-time Slammy Award winner. He's in the Hall of Fame for the Wrestling Observer, Money in the Bank winner, Royal Rumble winner, 4-time Tag Champions, 5-time US Champions, 16-time Combined World Champion. That puts CM Punk's achievements into a cocked hat. He's arguably the second biggest mainstream star that the WWE has ever produced behind The Rock. Far and away the most giving Make-A-Wish wrestler that there's ever been. And again, just like Charlotte Flair, absolutely carried the division and the company on his back for 15 years. Rabadoo, CM Punk is not going on the Badlands Mount Rushmore, but John Cena is.
Always use your head.
It's my second pick. It's one that I'm almost guaranteeing you're going to veto out of start.
I was going to guarantee you was going to veto it no matter what you said, even if you agreed with it.
But I don't know. I think I may be able to pull at Paul's fandom here. My second pick was a hugely successful amateur wrestler, part of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. And Brock Edward Lesnar was heavily courted by the WWE, and he eventually signed in 2000. After making his debut on the main roster in 2002, he won his first WWE Championship after just 5 months. And at 25 years old, he is the youngest person to ever win the WWE title. Now, you can like him or love him, but he absolutely is a legitimate wrestler in every sense of the word. He looks like he's been carved out of granite. He looks like the monster that he portrays. He left WWE, obviously, in 2004 to try his hand at American football. He also left to compete in the legitimate combat arena of UFC. The guy's won NCAA heavyweight championships. He's an All-American twice. He's won the Big Ten Conference twice. Like I said, he's been UFC heavyweight champion. He's was the MMA MVP for the Wrestling Observer and the biggest box office draw for the Wrestling Observer 3 years in a row. He's a PWI Match of the Year winner, PWI Wrestler of the Year twice, #1 on the PWI 500, 5-time Slammy Award winner, Royal Rumble winner, the current Money in the Bank winner, the King of the Ring, RWGP Heavyweight Champion, Universal Champion twice, WWE Champion 4 times. When this guy retires, he will go down as one of the best wrestlers to ever step in the ring. I put forward the beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar.
Well, that is all good and well, but like my good pal Graham said earlier, how often did he defend that title, really? I put it to you: would Brock Lesnar be able to defend the title 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? I'm vetoing Brock Lesnar, and I'm replacing it with
We've all been mounting Veto.
An applause.
We were going, come on. We've been holding on to it. We were dying to say it. We knew we didn't get a veto, but we were trying to send that message to you.
I felt it. I felt it.
I have a question.
I'm feeling attacked here.
How does he get all those awards if he only fights 5 matches a year?
He's earned the right to only fight 5 matches a year. But why should R-Truth go on in place of Brock Lesnar? I don't know. You sat there with even able to look me in the eye. You should be ashamed right now, Paul. Brock Lesnar over R-Truth. Seriously. But go on, explain your veto.
I think the 24/7 championship's amazing. It's the newest championship in WWE. It's completely freshened up the product. It's made Raw and SmackDown a lot more interesting. And when Mick Foley announced that title, it got panned by everyone. And within a month, is it even a month yet? R-Truth has really made it work. Just like he makes anything work that he's ever given. I'd argue he's not won as many championships in his career that he deserves. He's won nowhere near as many championships in his career that he deserves. But the important thing is he's 24/7 champion, and that gets him on our Mount Rushmore.
When did Brock ever win 9 championships in 1 month?
And also, Brock didn't dress up as Carmella, so there is that. There's nothing I can really say. I mean, I love R-Truth. I think he's absolutely brilliant. And the fact he loves, like, he's so much scared of spiders is just amazing. How he's got onto this Mount Rushmore is unreal. I don't think that veto should count, but there's nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. So R-Truth bumps Brock Lesnar. Just say them words. Just say them out loud. R-Truth bumps Brock Lesnar off this Mount Rushmore.
You reap what you sow.
Well, I may not even put Charlotte Flair on it now. I might edit Charlotte Flair out.
Shall I give him the 6 commandments?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So first off, head over to Twitter. Give us a follow at Dej Kirkby. That's at DEJ Kirkby and at Rain Counter. Give us a follow. We'll follow you back. Then, once you've done that, head over to your favorite podcast provider and hit subscribe on Visionaries Global Media, on Shooting the Sports-ish, on 5 Nerds Go, and of course on Chairshot Media Group, and across those channels you'll find all sorts of varied podcasts, both with me on, with Darren on, and from loads of other brilliant content creators as well. Loads of good stuff to keep you entertained for the rest of your life, basically. That's and you can find all your hard-hitting pro wrestling news and opinion over at thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.